Hey everyone, it's Alisha Brashay here at Cosmic Gateway. Welcome to September. Wow, September is already here. This year has just gone so quickly. I hope you're all doing well. Let's do some updates. There's so much going on. So, at the moment, as I record this, we are in the middle of probably the second largest, or maybe it's the largest solar storm. Geomagnetic storm that we've had for 2019. So we've just had solar winds hit up over 700 kilometers per hour, which is 300 kilometers above the average. So you probably see my regular posts talking about all the common symptoms or things, heightened awarenesses that we can go through during solar activity. Which is often what I find is, fatigue, feeling lethargic, irritability, all that great stuff. So, remember to go really gentle and easy on yourself. But one thing that I was pondering before making this video is how, observing the link between timelines shifting and collapsing and when we have sort of heightened energy, whether it's cosmic or solar activity, and how it kind of rattles things up energetically and kind of shifts and helps us move into newer timelines opening up or higher timelines. So it's really something interesting that it's just something that I'm observing. And if I come to any more theories, of course I'll always share them with you guys. So speaking of timelines, that would have to be the most prominent thing that has been playing out in the last fortnight, at least from my experience and what I'm seeing in sessions and speaking to people, is this timeline, this morphing of reality and this timeline shifting, and how obvious it is at the moment, and how we can go from a lower one to a higher one and back and forth and jumping all over the place. And so, collective theme at the moment, I can really see that two very noticeable, distinct timelines are playing out, and we're kind of moving in between two. And I do feel that that's going to shift for individually and collectively, and I do feel like we're all kind of working in that one. If you want to know more information, I'm gonna not go into too much detail because I could talk about timelines absolutely forever. It's one of my favorite topics. But I just recorded a 30-minute video on the Facebook subscription. So the way that you can access that is to become a subscribe member on Facebook to Cosmic Gateway. So you can hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on Facebook, it's just below the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will also put a link in the description box below of how you can access that. So I talk in that video, I talk at a great length of my understanding of timelines, try and break it down and give some examples of things that you can notice and observe in your own experience. And then I do a guided process of how you can go back and consciously heal old experiences and old timelines and bring the closing off the energy cycle to that, and then integrating that the wisdom and of experience into your process through your ascension process. So thank you for everyone who is a subscriber and who wants to become a subscriber. It's not something that I've really promoted a lot up until this point because I'm still trying to find my way through it. But I do, I appreciate it because it is, from my perspective, it's another way that I can help, more effectively, more people. So it's a really great platform that I can do longer videos and techniques and, different different things. So if you go on there, not only will you be able to access that, but all the other recordings and techniques that I've been posting for the past couple of months. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Whew. Okay, what else? What else can we cover? I did take notes because honestly, there is just so much happening at the moment. Probably, it feels like for the last month, it's just things are on high scale, high charged, um, movement forward. But at the same time, um, there's challenges that present. It's quite exhausting still. Um, there's just so much. So I'm going to try and break all that down. Of course, we've just moved past the second dark moon, so that's the 2 new moons in 1 month, and we had one back in July, so we've had another one just as we wrapped up August, and that seems to be really potent and quite magical energy. I know that after we move through that July um, second or dark moon, the new moon at the end of July, a lot of people had like a lot of really amazing things happen, so there's this kind of magical energy that's starting to drip through. And of course, we're all at different places and times and stages, so it may not be relevant for everyone. But I do think that it's present in the collective field. So if it hasn't hit you yet, or you're not kind of tapping into that yet, rest assured it's there, and it will find you. um, so we have that going on. Another thing that I've noticed is that still, and this will be ongoing, a lot of people hitting some dark nights, some really challenging stuff. I've had to, jump into some what I call emergency sessions over the last fortnight, where people are really in the thick of heavy releasing. How do I say this really diplomatic? Heavy releasing, a lot of heavy dark thoughts and emotions coming up, all the typical dark night of the soul type stuff. But what I'm also noticing is it's very unlike their personality. So they're presenting in a very different personality to their usual self. Let's call it that. There's a lot of shadow stuff coming out. So you may find that with people around you, that there is a bit of shadow aspects lashing out, which is just part of people's process. So, just to be aware of that. And that's part of what I've noticed with the timeline shifting as well, is that you can have someone's shadow self lashing out at you in one moment, and then it shifts the next. And, no one's, we're all, I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm trying to articulate myself, but none of us are excluded from that. Like, I've had moments where I've kind of, fired and triggered, and then went, "Ooh, that was a little, that was a little harsh." And so, I think a really good point to bring up, because I went through, I've done some of my own really deep ancestral clearing work this week, so I had to sort of take myself off for a day or so while I processed that. It was very, very big. And, you know, as any energy work, takes place, you can start to tap into that prior and after. It's not just while you're in a session, it's a whole process. And so I was still kind of going through some pretty intense triggers around 12 hours after the session. And I was in such a heightened state that I just so badly wanted to lash out, even though there was a higher part of me that said, no, that's not a good idea. just chill, don't go there. And I did maybe just a little, but not to the full throttle of what I would have liked to, in that real ego kind of shadow aspect kind of presenting. And when I woke up in the morning, and literally, when you're in a trigger, it's almost like you're in this space with the blinkers on, and all you can see is that experience, because it's working on releasing some massive things that go back into deep ancestral lines. Well, at least it was for my experience, and I know for a lot of people's experience. And so that just kind of had to ride out. And I was so grateful that when the light of day came and the blinkers kind of were taken off and I could see things much more clearly and not in that reactive state, that I didn't lash out in that moment, because it would have done a number of things. Um, it would have thrown a whole heap of unnecessary stuff on somebody else that I care about. It would have not closed off the energetic threads to the timelines that I was working on closing. So working so hard at doing that, and it would have re-engaged it, so it would have kind of continued on. So I guess that was kind of a little bit of a message that came through, is like, things are shifting so quickly. We can be really conscious about it, and not react in those heightened times, and not to say to not explore and to experience what you're experiencing. It's there for a reason. It's very real, but do that in a safe environment where, potentially, if you're going through a trigger, speak to, a practitioner or a friend or someone who's quite neutral, that's not gonna, that's not gonna feed into, either way. And it's certainly not the person that you're like, who's in the firing line. Unless it's necessary, always trust your own intuition. But that was sort of one of my observations over um, the last week, actually. So I'm just looking at my notes. I am doing another transmission. Very excited about that. So the 99 portal transmission, I'll put the details in the description box below for that one. So that will be held Melbourne time, 2 p.m. on the 10th of September, and it will be 9/9 in other parts of the world. I'll put the links to all of that. Would love you to be a part of. The last transmission was just amazing. There's so much work that goes into it, and obviously I partner with someone, with the beautiful Kerry, who does that with me, and so both her and I, or more so her, but she opens up, working with the quantum or morphogenic field. So we actively work on that transmission, the energy of that transmission, a couple of days prior, and we leave it open a couple of days after. So it's not just to give you a bit of context of what goes into it. It's not just the guided transmission that I do. There's a lot of energy work in and around behind. So if that calls to you, would absolutely love for you to be a part of it. The theme for this one is a lot around the throat chakra. That's a big focal point at the moment, which feels like a collective theme around speaking truth bombs, as I keep putting it. There's so many truth bombs going off. So really kind of embodying that soul truth, clear communication. I think I haven't got it written down here. I think there may be some kind of Lemurian energy thrown in. I won't give too much away, but it's quite an action packed. So looking forward to that. As I said, the details will be down below if you want to join. Very, very excited. What else have we got? Okay, so we've got the 99 portal. The reason that I was called to do this transmission is because I was reflecting back on last year. So, those time loops as they play out, and who knows? Like, I've been joking in the last few days about there's just no point in trying to predict anything, because everything's just so in flux, more so than normal or ever before. But I do recall very, very clearly the 99 portal last September, which was such a potent, so powerful. And I think if the energy is anything similar to what it was last year, it's a perfect time to do that. We had Schumann going off. I think that was like a really significant sort of 12-hour stint of Schumann going off. It was on a new moon. I myself went through a massive heart activation that kept me up all night. That was kind of that was a fun one. I have to say that was probably one of the most heightened, like, feeling like otherworldly that I've ever experienced, to the point where I was so high in energy that I could bring myself down a little bit and then it would shoot back up. And at one point I was walking around and I was kind of tripping tripping over my feet like you would if you were drunk or whatever, because I was there was so much energy charging through me that I kind of couldn't coordinate my body, my legs. It was so bizarre. Luckily, I had the space to be in that place, and I really worked with the energy to ground it and share it within the collective field. And so, wanting to work with that powerful energy that's coming up and around again. So, I think that yeah. So we've got the 9/9 portal. And then we have the full moon in Pisces a couple of days later, which I think is on the 14th of September. So very, very excited about that. What else have we got? We've got equinox coming up later in the month. It's very, very powerful times. I really, for me, September and October are the 2 months that I always look at in terms of big energy waves for the planet. And I kind of keep tapping into information around September and October, solar activity, sun activity, lots of heightened high energies. So, as always, I'll keep you updated with all the insights and the goings ons. I think that's it. I mean, there is so much more. Um, yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for now. So I hope you're doing well. We'll get into the intuitive insight cards. So tune in, choose a card, choose your own adventure. This will be reading A or card A, this one here. And then we have B, card B or reading B. And lucky last C, this one here, this beauty. All right. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Your likes, your shares, your subscribes, all that stuff. I truly, truly value it. As I've said in some of my other readings, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this work, and I really appreciate, even down to the comments, and I do apologize that I haven't had a lot of time to respond as I would have liked to of late, but when I get the chance, I do get around to it. So much love to you all, and I will connect with you soon. Bye.